I'm going to show you how to automate a process using Microsoft Access. This is our file structure. We have the imports, exports folder. We have a couple of databases, and we'll talk about those in just a second. Let's take a look at our import folders, which has Excel files that came from a third party. We have several fields in here, and this demo is related to adjudication of appeals that are coming from a third party to a governmental agency. So we have the adjudicator, name in the file, and we're going to use this to create separate Excel files for each adjudicator. We have another folder called Hold Release, which has similar information in it. We have the adjudicator again, as you can see. We will be creating files for each of these adjudicators and attaching them to an Outlook email. And then our final folder here is our shipping notices. It's not really important if you know all the details of the process, but the key thing is to understand the integration of Access with Excel and Word. Next, we'll take a look at our exports folder. Right now it's empty, but we'll come back and take a look at it after we run the process. We have a documents folder where we can attach additional documents to the email. And then of course we have our backup folder for our Access databases. Let's take a look at our email. It's integrated with the Outlook GAL, and then it's linked to our main Access table. This is a pretty nice way to integrate Outlook GAL with a database. Okay, let's take a look at the master database, and we'll open that up from our desktop. Our menu is on the left-hand side. We have the imports, hold release button. We have the shipping notice button, and then we have the hold release shipping notices. And there's the maintenance folder. Let's take a look at that. It's our Outlook that's interfaced with the Outlook GAL. I'm using Outlook 365. We can actually add an email on the fly by entering the first name, last name. You notice it's formatting the full name for us, and then we'll select a field office. Okay. And once we close it, we'll see that it's been added to our email list, and the email address has been formatted automatically for us. Next, let's look at our add, edit, CC emails. You can add or subtract, delete from this form. The email address will automatically be formatted based on the first and last name. And we'll select a location. And we've just added a CC to the email. If you have any exclusions, they can actually be added here in this process. There are exclusions based on some other initiatives. in some of the folders we have the adjudicator is unspecified. So this is how we handle that. It goes to a centralized group. And then there's our field offices form. You can add and remove field officers. And we'll take a look at the missing emails after we run the process. So let's run the import Excel code notices. You can say yes or no. If you say no, of course, it just goes back to the main menu. So what we're doing is importing the spreadsheets in the hold release folder, consolidating them, and then creating separate emails for each adjudicator that will be attached to the Outlook email. This process only takes a few seconds to run. We'll get a notification here that it's preparing the emails. There we are, preparing emails. Just click it, and you will see the emails are being prepared. We prepared an email for each of the adjudicators, and we have the CC email addresses. The subject is the name of the adjudicator, and here is the spreadsheet that was created for the adjudicator. We'll scroll over and notice that there it is, Ben Smith. We won't save it. The body of the letter. Let's close this email. Let's take a look at another one. You can see the name of the spreadsheet is the adjudicator. And there's the adjudicator. This is a very fast process compared to if you had to manually create each one of these spreadsheets and then do an email. It would take you several hours to do this. This process had a high return on investment, approximately 85%. We'll close this. We don't need to take a look at all of them, but the thing to remember, did create a spreadsheet for each one of the adjudicators in the Excel files in the hold subfolder. This is the operations, which is a group, and you'll notice the unspecified as the adjudicator. Generally in this process, the unspecified has the majority of the records. Okay, we'll close these out, and then we'll do the import our shipping notices. What happens in this process is third party sends a list of appeals that potentially can be adjudicated. And once the third party receives all the required information, they will send back the agency another spreadsheet listing out the appeals that are eligible and to put them on hold and send the shipping notices. That's what this import is bringing into the database, and we'll be able to send the emails back out to the adjudicators letting them know to prepare the shipping notices. You're going to notice in this email is an additional attachment, which is the instructions on how to prepare the shipping notices. We'll open up the Excel file, and you can see there's Ben Shields, Ben Smith rather, it's the name. Here's the additional attachment, which is the instructions or the SOP on how to prepare the shipping manifest, which is actually run through another Access database. You can automate virtually any reoccurring task using an Access database. You can see the body of the letter is different from the previous email. And we won't look at all of these emails, so I'll just close them down. You can see the name, the file, have been attached to each one of the emails. Access is a very powerful tool that you can use in automating your recurring task. And one of the key things about using Access is you probably already have it. You don't have to go out and buy another third-party application. Utilize the tools that you already have. Now let's take a look at the missing email. Notice we have two records here, and the reason being that there was no adjudicator in the spreadsheet for these two. So research would have to be done on those two. And finally, let's take a look at the source folder. Here are the attachments that were created by adjudicator. So this is an example how to automate the process using Microsoft Access.